everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this gorgeous winter garden scarf. This is a super soft, nice and wide and long scarf that you can really wrap yourself up in. It actually could be considered like a small wrap. It's just such a nice size scarf. We're going to do just a real simple ripple stitch. And we're going to kind of do, now I did a gradient of purples and grays, so it has a really beautiful winter palette that's very wearable. However, you can really use any colors you like, and it's really fun to kind of see the colors play out. I just sort of did like a muted palette, but you can really do anything you like. Now the finished scarf here is 15 inches wide, so like I said, it's a very beautiful, generous size, really comfy and cozy, and it is 70 inches long. So I kind of made this generous on purpose because it's winter and you just need extra comfort and coziness right now. So you can really change the width. We're going to talk about that later in the video. You can really change the width if you want this to be a little bit narrower or wider if you want to turn it into like a larger shawl or even a blanket. And you can just simply work more or less rows to get the length if you want to change up the length a little bit. Now, the written pattern can be found on the Flux blog. The full video tutorial is here on the channel, which we're going to go through the whole thing today from start to finish. And then you can also get the ad-free PDF on my Etsy shop, and all the links to the written pattern, the video, the ad-free PDF are all found down below. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A tape measure is super helpful. We're going to be talking a little bit about the multiples of this project, so you can change the width and the length. So this is a helpful tool to have if you need to change the sizing a little bit. We're going to be using a 6mm J crochet hook. This is my Furls Odyssey in the Mint, just as a side note. I'll put the link down below and a coupon code if you'd like to get one for yourself. And then let's talk about this beautiful yarn. I have this lovely gradient of some neutral grays and some soft purples. I just love these colors together. We're going to be using a total of 984 yards of worsted weight yarn. That is a 4 on the medium on the yarn weight scale. You can look at your yarn labels at home and look for this little yarn ball with a number in it. We're going to use a 4 medium. Now I'm going to be using a yarn called Color Theory, and that was a collaboration between Two of Wands and Line Brand yarn. And I've used this for some other projects and I really love it. It's soft, it's easy to use, it has lovely stiff stitch definition, and it comes in lots of colors. So again, 984 yards of worsted weight yarn. I'm going to use 4 balls of the Color Theory yarn. And if you want to replicate my palette, I have here, I'm going to be using 1 ball of Satellite, 1 ball of Provence, 1 ball of Amethyst, and 1 ball of Thunder. So I have like a light kind of silvery gray, a light purple, kind of a medium grayish purple, and then a nice like deep charcoal color. So to get started, whenever I'm doing stripes or multicolors like this, I like to put my yarn in order in the order in which I'll use the yarn for my striping. So I have here kind of the light gray, the light purple, the darker purple, and the darker gray. Now you can also move them out of order, not out of order, but just in a different order as well, so you can see how the stripes are going to play out as you work down your striping. So I have my yarn and my hook and we're ready to go. Before we start our chain though, we need to talk about multiples. So our multiple for this ripple stitch is going to be 10 plus 2. So if you're not familiar with that concept, that just means when you're doing your starting chain, you're going to work in groups of 10. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 and so forth until you get the width that you want, and then add 2 more chains onto that. So our starting chain is going to be 62. Again, a multiple of 10 plus 2. So 62 chains to begin. Again, you can adjust yours as needed. So what we need to do first is put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Again, our starting chain is 62. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 59, 60, 61, and 62. So let me just zoom out because our chain is quite long. Now this is going to be a very wide, cozy, generous scarf. As you can see, my starting chain is pretty wide. It could actually be considered kind of a narrow shawl, really, but I wanted it to be wide and long. We have lots of yarn to work with here. So we're going to have a very cozy scarf for winter. So as a side note, again, you can change the multiples if you want to bring it in a little bit, okay? So let's move on to row 1. For row 1, what we're going to do is work a double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. Now I'm going to come way back in so you can see. So to make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into that chain and bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. And then what we're going to do is work a double crochet in each of the next 4 chains. So double crochet into the next chain, that's 1. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 2. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 3. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 4. Okay, you can go back and count if you need to. Then what we're going to do is skip the next 2 chains, and in each of the next 4 chains after that, we're going to work a double crochet. So skip the next 2 chains, work a double crochet in the chain after that, that's 1. Work a double crochet in the chain after that, that's 2 double crochets. Work a double crochet in the chain after that, that's 3 double crochets. Work a chain after that into the next chain, that's 4 double crochets. So as a side note, we're making a ripple. So our ripple is going to consist of peaks and valleys. Our valleys will dip down and our peaks will climb up high and come back down. So we just created, by skipping, we just created a little valley in our work, okay, just as a side note. Then what we're going to do is create a peak next. So we're going to do this by working a chain 2. And then what we're going to do is work a double crochet in each of the next 4 chains. We're not going to skip them this time. We're just going to work a double crochet in each of the next 4 chains. So double crochet in the next chain you come to, that's 1. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 2. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 3. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 4. Okay? So now we have a little peak here and a little valley. We're starting to kind of establish that ripple that we're after, okay? Then we're just going to kind of repeat our sequence across. So now what we need to do, we just did it's going to help as you do your ripple across to see what you've just done. So we just did a peak, so we're ready for a valley now. So we're going to skip 2 chains, and in the next 4 chains after that, work a double crochet in each one. So skip 2 chains, in the chain after that, work a double crochet, that's 1. Work a double crochet in the next chain, that's 2. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 3. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 4, okay? So now we have another little valley here. Then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And then we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 4 chains. So double crochet in the next chain, double crochet in the next chain, double crochet in the next chain, that's 3. Whoops, dropped my loop there. Let's do that one again. Double crochet in that next chain, that's 3. We're redoing 3. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 4. And you can peek back and make sure, you know, double count your stitch count if you need to. Okay? So now we just did a peak, we're ready to do a valley again. So skip the next 2 chains, and in the chain after that, work a double crochet. Next chain, work a double crochet. That's 2. Next chain, work a double crochet. That's 3. Next chain, work a double crochet. That's 4. Okay, we just did a valley. Let's do a peak. Chain 2, work a double crochet in each of the next 4 chains. So double crochet, that's 1. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 2. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 3. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 4. Okay, so we did a peak last, so now we're ready to do a valley. Skip 2 chains, and the chain after that, work a double crochet. That's 1. We're always working in groups of 4 here of these double crochets. That was 1. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 2 double crochets. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 3 double crochets. Double crochet into the next chain, that's 4 double crochets. Okay, so if we peek back, we did a little valley here. Now we're ready to do a peak. So chain 2, and then we're going to work a double crochet in each of these next 4 chains. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, we did a peak back here, so now we're ready to do a valley again. Skip 2 chains, and the chain after that, work a double crochet. That's 1 double crochet, work a double crochet in the next chain, that's 2 double crochet. Work a double crochet in the next chain, that's 3 double crochet. Work a double crochet in the next chain, that's 4 double crochets. Okay, so we did a valley. Let's do a peak now. Chain 2, and then work a double crochet in each of the next 4 chains. So double crochet in the next chain, double crochet in the next chain, double crochet in the next chain, that's 3 so far. Double crochet in the next chain, that's 4. Okay, now we're coming up towards the end of the row, and we just did a peak back here, so we're ready to do a valley. So skip the next 2 chains, and then work a double crochet in each of the next 3 chains this time. So skip 2 chains and work a double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the next chain, and then that last chain, instead of working 1 double crochet into that one, we're going to work 2 to finish off the row. Okay, so that very last chain, work 2 double crochets into that. So 1 and 2. So row 1 is complete, and so we have, if we zoom out just a little bit, we have a lovely foundation to begin. Now before you continue, whenever I'm doing a ripple, I like to just double check my work. Make sure your peaks and valleys are alternating all the way across, and as you can see, I'm sort of like sharpening up those peaks and valleys to make them look more defined so I can see them better. But just make sure you have valley, peak, and there's not like 2 peaks side by side or anything. Just make sure they're alternating all the way across. The next thing we're going to do is move on to row 2. And again, row 2 will be the row we'll repeat for the whole rest of our scarf. And as you can see, this is a little bit better of a visual than the chain, I think, because we have a little bit more width on here, or height rather. But you can see how I'm making a nice wide scarf. I want to have full coverage here. So again, if you need to adjust the multiples, if you get this much worked up, and you see, oh, it's a little wide or it's a little narrow, I want to go to a shawl size, or I want to make my scarf a lot narrower, just adjust those multiples. You might need to experiment a little bit and do a couple, work up row 1 a couple of times to see how it looks. Okay, so let's move on to row 2. For row 2, what we're going to do is chain 3. Let me zoom back in so you can see better. So we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This is going to count as our first double crochet of our row. Then we're going to turn our work. We'll worry about these tails later. Then what we're going to do in that same beginning stitch, so right down at the base of this chain, you'll see a stitch. There'll be a loop right at the bottom. We're going to work a double crochet right into that very first stitch, okay? Just like that. Then what we're going to do is work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So double crochet into the next stitch, that's 1. Double crochet into the next stitch, that's 2. Double crochet into the next stitch, that's 3. Okay? Then what we're going to do, see we have our valley, we're going to skip 2 stitches here. So skip the next 2 stitches, that one and that one. And in the stitch after that, we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches once again. So double crochet into the next stitch, that's 1. Double crochet into the next stitch, that's 2. Double crochet into the next stitch, that's 3. Just like that. Now we're at a peak again. To work the peak for row 2, what we need to do is work a double into this, right into the space, not the stitch this time. So right into the space, we're going to work a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet, all in the same peak space, if you will. Okay, just like that. So now you can see our peaks are kind of stacking on top of one another. We're getting some lovely decorative holes that will be a nice visual part of our scarf as well. Next, work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So that first stitch you come to, double crochet, that's 1. Next stitch, work a double crochet, that's 2. Next stitch, work a double crochet, that's 3. All right, so next we're at a valley, so we're going to skip 2 stitches and then work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Now we're at a peak again, so we're going to do the same thing we did back there. We'll work right in that peak, that space, double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet all in the same space. Work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, we can pick up speed a little bit, and 3 because we're just repeating now. All right, we're at a valley. Skip the next 2 stitches. In the stitch after that, work a double crochet, double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit because our piece is growing a little bit. So I double crocheted in that next stitch. Now we're at a valley, or excuse me, a peak again. So again, in that peak, in that space, we're going to work a double crochet. Whoops, I think I picked up 2 loops there. Let's try that again. Anytime you have a stitch that you don't love the way it looks, or something snags, or it's just not feeling right, just pull it right out right then and there. Don't wait, because it'll get buried far down in your work and then it'll be a lot more to rip out. Okay, so anyway, we're at a peak. Let's do a double crochet. Mine had a little snag somehow. Double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet, all in that same peak space. Work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're at a valley once again. Skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch after that, work a double crochet. In the next stitch, in the next stitch, work a double crochet. The next stitch, work a double crochet once again. All right, we're at a peak again, so in that space, work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches down the side here. So 1, 2, and 3. All right, skip the next 2 stitches, and in the stitch after that, work a double crochet. In the stitch after that, work a double crochet. Stitch after that, work a double crochet. And then we're at a peak again, so in that space, work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet. Now we're at a valley, skip the next 2 stitches, and then in the next stitch work a double crochet, next stitch double crochet, next stitch double crochet, and now we've come to the end of the row. So at the end of the row you'll have this like turning chain. In the topmost chain of your turning chain, so right about there, right on top there, you're going to work 2 double crochets to finish off the row in that same topmost chain of your turning chain, okay? So work 2 double crochets right in there, okay? So row 2 is complete. Row 2, once again, is the row that you'll repeat for the whole rest of the scarf. So just because we're in the beginning here, I like to just double check my work, make sure I did alternating peaks and valleys and I didn't try to do something I wasn't supposed to do here. So just double check your work and you should have a very nice little ripple going on. So we're going to continue working row 2 over and over and over again. And then we're going to rejoin for just a minute in case you need to see how to join yarn. There's lots of ways to do it. I prefer to just cut the yarn and tie the new yarn right on. If you have a preferred method, please feel free to do that. But because we're doing some stripes, I'll show you how to join on the new color or the new ball of yarn, whatever you're doing. So we're going to get a nice stripe of this purple color, and then we'll move on to our next color, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, just working that last stitch of our row here. And now we're ready to switch colors. Now, you can switch colors whenever you want. I just wanted to show you, in case you were wondering how to do it. Now, as a side note, I worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows of this color, and now I'm ready to switch. You can work any amount of rows you want before you're ready to switch, or if you're doing a solid color, when you're ready to add a new ball, I'll show you how to do that. Now I put, like I said before, I put my colors in order. So we did this one, and now I'm ready to move on to the next color, and then we'll just keep repeating that. But you can switch at any time if you like. Now I figured mine out with a scale. Like if you're wondering how many sections of color you can get from each ball, what I did was for my yarn, I looked at the total number of ounces here, which was 3.5. I worked the number of rows because I wanted to repeat each color 3 times. Now you can decide however you want to manage that. But so I took the label off and weighed what I had so far and determined when it was roughly a little less than 1/3 of the ball of yarn, I stopped. And that worked out to be 10 rows of the pattern, okay? So you can do that too. So I'll do another full section and then another full section, and that will be the entire ball of yarn. So you can kind of use your scale, like just a very inexpensive kitchen scale is what I use, and weigh your piece and weigh the ball of yarn which you have left and kind of work out the ounces that way, okay? So, you know, just a little bit of math and just weigh it if you want to. If not, if you want to do more of a color block, you could work this entire ball of yarn and then switch to the next color and just kind of do it that way too. You could do half and half where your section will be a little bit bigger too. So really, however you'd like to do it. If this is a scrap project for you, you could just keep going till you're on to the next color and just kind of let it play out that way. Okay, so when you're ready to switch yarn, either a new yarn ball or a new color, what have you, I like to just cut the yarn, fasten it off, tie the new yarn right on. If you have a preferred way of joining yarn, there's lots of ways to do it. Please feel free to do it that way. So what I'm going to do is just cut the yarn. We're going to worry about all the tails later. And then I'm just going to fasten off. Wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. Then we're going to grab our next color. So we just did the amethyst, and now we're moving on to Provence. Okay, and again, any order you would like. I wanted to do sort of a gradient of the purples and grays, okay? So reinsert your hook back into that stitch where you just fastened off. hook the new yarn on, and then just tie it, leaving yourself a little tail so you can weave it in later. So just tie that right on. And now, get those tails out of the way. Reinsert the hook back into that same stitch. Actually, let me zoom in. Bring up a loop, and you're ready to continue with the pattern, okay? So just keep working your rows, switching colors as often as you like. You could even do a random color sequence where maybe you do 7 rows of one color, then 2, then 5, then 20, and just kind of make it more kind of unpredictable. It's totally up to you. But just keep going with your rows, switching colors as often as you want, and when we rejoin, we'll do a little bit of finished work. So just keep going with your rows and we'll rejoin in just a minute. Okay, I'm just working that last stitch of the row here with our last bit here, and I have just a little bit more yarn. I'm just going to wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through the loop. So I wanted to show you these muted purples and grays just really turned out so beautifully. This is such a wearable piece that it would go with so many different things, and I love how wide and long it is. It's just so cozy, and the yarn is extremely soft. It's just a really great everyday wearable piece. So the last thing we need to do, and I just wanted to show you how my colors played out here. Now we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows of each color, which I mentioned before, but I just wanted to mention that again, and you can see the spectrum that we've achieved. So let's take care of some of these ends. I'm going to flip this over and grab my scissors and my tapestry needle. Now, when you're weaving ends on something with lots of colors like this, and you've changed colors, you just want to make sure that when you weave your ends, you're going to stay in the same color family. So I have here a gray tail. I'm going to thread it with my tapestry needle, and I'm just going to go in one direction with my needle. And then I'm going to come back in the other direction and just kind of lock that tail into place. But I'm staying in the same color so everything blends and kind of these tails kind of disappear. So once you've done that, you can just give that a snip and that will all kind of disappear, okay? So then I have quite a bit of tails here because I've changed colors pretty frequently. So then what you'll want to do is just go through and weave in all of your ends. And when we rejoin, we'll look at the finished piece. Okay, all of our ends are woven in and our scarf looks absolutely beautiful. It's really a wide scarf. It could technically be a wrap if you wanted it to be, but I just love how soft and just generously sized it is. So that is how you crochet the winter garden scarf. I hope you enjoyed this pattern. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.